Lemar Wilburn completed Building Futures Inside in January. Just graduated from the community-based peer apprenticeship program 2 weeks ago, and he's currently being employed here at Building Futures.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you guys come. So, upon graduating, Ian had asked me if I'd be willing to speak at this today, and I told him absolutely. I had no problem with it. Rachel had asked me if I needed to write a speech, and I told her, nah, I don't need to write a speech. Because I was asked to tell my story, so I'm willing to do that to you guys. You guys seem like you're in for the right reasons. So to give you an idea of the impact that this program could have for somebody, I'll tell you about myself a little bit. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, Southeast Mass. Spent time in Rhode Island as well, bouncing around. Single mother, father in and out of prison, struggling with drugs. Mother couldn't work. So I ran the streets easily. Spent most of my juvenile years in and out of juvenile halls until I aged out at 18. And then at 18 years old, I was home for about 9-10 months. And then I was incarcerated at that time and sentenced to 35 years. I did 13 years in prison where making a name and worried about the wrong things was what consumed me. So for the most part, the first 7-8 years, I was a knucklehead. Went to Max. Now Max is a big reason because I met a correctional officer named Cavallo and got in trouble. He couldn't do nothing for me at that time. So I go through high security, I make it through medium. I finally make parole after almost 12 years. And they send me to minimum. So the idea was for me to go to minimum because, you know, I needed to learn life skills. I never had a job before, I never worked before. So I get to minimum, and the correctional officer, Cavallo, from maximum, he's now a lieutenant at that building. So he sits me down, he asks me what I plan on doing with my life. I say, I don't know. I said, one of my boys, he has a job doing vinyl siding. I might do that, you know, get a paycheck when I get out. So he told me he'd be willing to introduce me to some people that have a program going on called Building Futures, help get you into the trade, get you a reasonable wage and whatnot. So before I started the class, he introduced me to Kevin Landry. Had asked me if I'd help him install a tool shed and put a door in and do all this grown man work that I ain't never did before. So he asked me if I know how to read a tape measure. I said, nah, I don't know how to read no tape measure. So he shows me how to read a tape measure. He asked me if I know what a shim was. I said, nah, bro, I don't know what no shim is either. So he started showing me things little by little. But I worked hard for him. I was willing to learn. So he told me this afterwards, that after that first day of work, and he had told Cavallo and the captains in there that every day that he comes into work, that I better be up there with him. So that's what happened. But in about a month before my class started, I was up there with him every day, helping. So my class started, do 10 weeks, where it's all hands-on training in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, you're in the classroom learning about the trades, as well as learning about, you know, what a pension is and what an annuity is and retirements and whatnot. And they talking about numbers that I ain't never heard brought into my household because neither one of my parents had graduated from high school, you know? So I took an interest in it because that sounded like, you know, real legit money that I don't have to be worried about. So I was eager, very eager. And so I finished my class. The same lieutenant, he had me working in the buildings and on the facilities doing maintenance and rehabbing jobs around the DOC. And I had asked Kevin, I said, do you mind if it's okay with Cavallo that after I graduate, if I come up here and keep helping you guys so I could stay steady with being in front of, you know, a master carpenter and get more hands-on experience, because that's the best way to learn. You can only learn so much in a book, at least for me. And he said, yeah. Calls me Big Dog. He said, absolutely, Big Dog, no problem. So they get me back up there. So I, when the third cohort started, because I graduated the second, the third class started, and I assisted them in that class. we're helping show the other students how to, read their tape measures and make cuts, and we're doing a lot of taping. It was a whole lot of taping and sanding. So we're showing them how to do that. And then I was granted parole and I was being released. And on the day that I was being released, they happened to be having class that day too. So tells you, it took me 12 years to find that program. And I can honestly tell you, I'll be the voice from the inside. There is no help in there. There isn't. If I didn't find this program, I didn't, like how she said, she had meaningless jobs she was bouncing around with. I didn't know what kind of job I was gonna do. And the chances of finding a job that was willing to take me with my convictions and whatnot, I wasn't feeling too confident. So that program is the best thing they have going in there. I promise you that. Because other than that, they're gonna take you and put you in a program doing yoga or nothing that's gonna hold any type of meaning in it. So for me to sit for the first 12 years before I was introduced to Kevin and Ian and get to understanding about what Building Futures presents, it was amazing. Upon being released, they haven't let me move a bit. I've been here every day since I've gotten released from prison. Every day. I got out on a Wednesday, that following Monday I was here. And they've paid me a good wage to help here and work here until I get placed. I finished my 5 weeks on this August 2nd, I believe it was. But a date more important than that was June 18th was the first paycheck I ever received in my life. I took a picture of it, sent it to my mother. She was living in Indianapolis at the time. And she was happy, she cried, but that's their work, that's the narrative that they're pushing and that they're helping with. And they fought hard for me. The system on the inside, it'll fail us a lot. Like somebody like myself, I sat for 13 years. 2 weeks before I was being released, a discharge planner met with me and said, we didn't even know you were leaving. So they didn't have my EBT set up. They didn't have my ID. They didn't have any of that for me. So who I called Nick. He works here. I said, yo, I need help. They don't got nothing set up for me when I get out. So we'll see what we could do. I called Building Futures for everything. Everything. They helped with my transition. Crazy. I can't even explain it. So that's why when Ian asked me if I speak, I said absolutely. Because like I said, there's no better program than what they're doing with Building Futures inside. And if you guys want to see, like my community that I come from, if you want to see it change, then they're the ones to invest in. They're the ones to build with, because they're going to make a change. Because those 5 graduates that she says that's working, I was in contact with all of them while they was in there doing it. Then once they was released, and that showed me that like, yo, this is something I could really give my time to, because the proof is in the pudding. You see a bunch of programs come in and say they could do this for you, they could do that for you. Then upon your release, you'll never hear from them. They stay on top of us. Nick will call you every day if he has to. You see what I'm saying? And so it was an easy choice. And I hope it's an easy choice for you guys to build something strong with them and continue this work, because this work is beautiful. Because the same way I was in contact with them, I still have friends that contact me about what I'm doing now. And they hear what I'm doing, and they see that I'm waiting to get right to work, and they're talking about doing it next. And that's really what it's about, honestly.